Hello everyone, here's the second video for review part 7. In this video, we're going to specifically talk about something called osmosis. So osmosis is the diffusion of water. So if you can remember from the previous video, diffusion is the transport of molecule from one area that has high concentration of the molecule to an area that has low concentration, right? Diffusion is for any type of molecule whatsoever. However, osmosis, we're just talking about water. So let's say we take these green dots as water, right? Let's say these are water, right? And then we have a membrane, a semi-permeable membrane in the middle that has enough room for the water to get through, okay? So water can travel through cell membrane itself. So what happens is that if you have an area with high water concentration, the water molecules will move to the other side to allow equilibrium to be reached. So you have equal concentration of water on each side. So osmosis, again, is the diffusion of water. Water traveling from an area of high water concentration to an area of a low water concentration. If you look at question 133, it says water travel from area of water concentration, high to low. But it's really important for you to remember, we're talking about water. So normally, you're trained to look at solutes, right? If you look at water, salt water, you would say salt water is very concentrated, but it's concentrated with salt. If water is concentrated with salt, in comparison, you would have a low concentration of the water, right? See how that works? It's kind of backward. So then, similarly, if you were to have water traveling from an area of high water concentration, let's say the green dots are water, and then we have these orange dots as solute. So what you see over here is that the higher the solute concentration, the lower the water concentration, right? And the lower the water concentration, the higher the water concentration, the lower the solute concentration. So what would happen is that if you have more water, the green one, on one side, water will travel from an area of low solute concentration to an area of high solute concentration. So again, if these orange dots cannot move through the cell membrane at all, only the green dots can move, only the water can move, then the water will move this way and allow equilibrium to be reached. Okay, see how that happened? So the next question says, so the answer for 34 will be low solute concentration to high solute concentration. You need to be able to predict the direction of diffusion when you're given a diagram. So how this works is that you can draw a diagram. So for example, this one right here, you can draw this diagram. You have one side, let's say the dots are solute. Then you should know in your head the blank space is the water. If you have more blank space on one side, this will be high water concentration, low solute concentration. So in comparison, the other side will be high solute and low water. And you know water travels from area of high water to low water, so water will move this way. Or it's the same idea as talking about water going from low solute to high solute, so water will still move that way, right? Does osmosis require selectively permeable membrane? The answer is yes, because otherwise you can only talk about the movement of all the different kinds of molecules. If you're only talking about water, then you need a barrier in between that prevents water from moving, that allows water moving from one side to another and prevents some of the other types of molecules from moving across the membrane. The next one is called isotonic, hypertonic, and hypotonic solution. So a lot of the times the question will be asked like this. You would have, so what you will have is that you will see a beaker, right? And you will see a cell that's in the beaker. And this will be the solution. We put a cell into a solution, okay? And then you can draw dots. If you have more dots on the inside of the cell, the dots are the solutes, right? If you have more solute inside the cell, that means there's low water. If you have less solute on the outside, that means there's high water. This is called a hypotonic solution, meaning that the solution itself has a low concentration of solute. Hypo means low, but we're talking about the solute concentration. The result of this is that if you have an animal cell, water will naturally move into the cell. Okay? So you need to be able to understand hypotonic means low concentration of solute. If you say side A is hypotonic, that means side A has a low concentration of solute, and the result is water will move from side A to side B. In comparison, you can also have something called hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution means the solution that the cell is in is highly concentrated with the solute. If you have high solute, this is high solute, which is the same thing as low water. So if you have high solute, then you would have low water. And the result of this is that water, again, will move from an area of high water concentration to low water concentration. So water will move out of the cell and make the cell shrink. So over here, the cell would shrink, and over here, the cell would expand. Okay, so you need to be able to draw the dots. You need to be able to predict where is water going to move, and you need to understand what's going to happen to the cell. Okay, last word is called isotonic. So isotonic, iso means equal. That just means the cell and the solution have equal concentration. Water will still move, but water will move into the cell and out of the cell at the same speed. Okay? So we're done with 39 as well. We're talking about 38 and 39, so we're good with both of those. In what type of solution will a cell maintain its size? That will be the isotonic solution because there's equal amount of water moving in and out. The difference between active transport and passive transport. So active transport is, let's say you have all these molecules over here. We have a selectively permeable membrane over here, right? And then you need this protein to be in charge of active transport. If you want molecules to move from an area of high concentration to low concentration, diffusion can allow that to happen, right? But if we have side A and side B is already more concentrated, but we want side B to be even more concentrated with this molecule. Then we're going to move molecules from an area of low concentration to high concentration. This process is called, this building up of even higher concentration is called active transport, and it requires the use of energy because it's not natural. That molecules want to move away from each other, so if you're moving them even closer than they were before, then you need an input of energy. So it does use energy. You need to be able to predict, well, you need to know what concentration to what concentration, so low to high in this case, and the type of substance that are transported, it could be any substance, but the idea is low to high using energy. And what kind of energy would you use? You would use ATP, something we have learned before. Lastly, we have something called endocytosis versus exocytosis. So how this works is that you would have a cell, and let's say there's a large piece of food outside of the cell, and the cell wants to engulf this food. So this food will move closer and closer to the cell. The cell membrane will cave in a little bit, allowing this food to go in even more, and then eventually you will form this food vacuole within the cell. And that's how endocytosis happens. If you have a large, very large piece of something, usually food, you want to get it into the cell, then you do endocytosis. If you want something going out of the cell, for example, if you have a bunch of proteins in a vesicle and you want to send it out of the cell, this vesicle will move to the cell membrane, and the vesicle itself will become a part of the cell membrane and then send the molecules out of the cell. If you're not really sure how this works, look up a picture. It should make a lot of sense. All right? That's all for today.